There is no one size fits all or a simple fix when it comes to your well-being. Hi, my name is Josephine, founder of Positivity Center and Wellbeing Consultant, and a person figuring out how to be my best. So join me in conversation with friends, sharing what works for them, and then listen to what works for others so you can create something that will work for you. Hello and welcome to today's show, Wellbeing That Works. I'm your host, Josephine Tite, and I am joined here by a really good friend, Cara Poppet. Welcome, Cara. I'm so glad to have you here today.
Thanks for having me, Joe. It's always good to connect with you.
I know it's been a long time, but you've been up to a lot of stuff. But before we get to all that, maybe you can introduce yourselves a little bit to our viewers.
Yes, sure. So I am an entrepreneur and a passionate person at heart. I see the potential in people, and I've been blessed to really work with young children to inspire them. So I run a dance studio, and it's called Soul Connection. It's a dance, yoga, and fitness studio, and our mission is really to inspire growth. And then I also operate a international preschool program in dance studios. So it's a curriculum that really builds emotional intelligence in young children, confidence, creativity, and gives them the ability to really move in their bodies. So I'm really passionate about what I do. I have 3 young children, so I'm kind of coming out of the hump. My youngest will be in school next year full time, so it's pretty exciting time for me.
That is so true. Yeah, your kids are how old now?
So 5,
Yeah.
7, and 11.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is a job in itself, raising a family.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask how, because what you do like in the professional sphere is like amazing. And just thinking about growth and how, it's not just emotional growth, you're bringing that into the body, and then the body is moving and growing alongside with that. Does
Mhm.
it translate into your family life?
It
Or
does.
how does it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it does. So I'll give you an example. So I always tell my children if they're being, doing behavior that I don't agree with, if they're being bad, I don't say stop being bad or stop doing this. I always say, guys, we got to have good energy. And I'm always correcting on the energy. And I've done this for years. And then some people are like, why are you always talking about the energy? I'm like, because it's all about the energy. And I don't want to label my child that they're bad, or I don't want to, give them negative information about themselves. I want to just feature what I want to see. And so it's redirection really. So it is second nature to me. I have a background in psychology and business, and I don't know, I just like really interested, and I get really fired up when I see positive change in people.
Mhm.
And I obviously tested on my children too. They went through the Fine Arts Club. I developed it because of them. I was like, I need a program while I'm running a full studio. What can I do for this little 2-year-old?
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, that's so
so it's
true.
just really it's really about your energy, because I think your energy is your highest currency. It's how you show up, it's how you connect to people, it's how people feel when they're around you. And I want my children to have that. So it's a sense of self. It's a self. I always tell them at the end of the nights, tell me why you love yourself. And I make my 5-year-old tell me all these things. She's like, I'm funny, I'm kind, I'm crazy. And she spits it out, and then I give her a few more because I want her to be able to pull that for herself. So
Yeah.
self validation, self love. So I would say it transfers over. I would say that my husband probably doesn't love it too much, but I'm always like, we gotta talk about the feelings. We gotta talk about this. I think it's sometimes I gotta like tone it down a bit too. So it
Well,
definitely goes into my
yeah,
family
yeah,
life.
kids are just, they're because they haven't lived so many years, there aren't as many permanent highways in their head. So
Mhm.
we can carve out some new highways or pathways a little easier, I think sometimes, right?
So true.
That's so true. Sometimes it takes a while. But I know yet that okay, so tell me how sort of where you come from in your scope of or your definition of well-being, because I think that obviously has impacted a lot of the things you've chosen to do. So yeah,
Mhm.
what does well-being mean like to you, and how has it influenced a lot of the things that you've done for your family and for your business?
Yes, so I believe well being is really about connecting inside and feeling good with those feelings. So it's all for me, it's about self connection. It's about a soul connection. It's about really like getting into who you are and being okay with who you are. And I think well being it can come in forms of mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, relationships, circumstantial. There's many different areas of well-being for me, and I think they're all interconnected. So if one area is off, it's going to have a ripple effect on other areas. And sometimes we don't think it is, or it's not as significant, and we just tolerate certain behaviors or certain circumstances, and we justify it to ourselves. But when we really can take a step back, you can see how they're all looped. And when I tell people I work with about your energy, I just explain the fact that if you don't have energy, you can't do anything. So of course you have to protect your energy, and your energy is also for women, especially creating boundaries. And so I talk a lot about that with my students, with the women entrepreneurs that I work with. Yeah, so well-being to me at its core is having self-connection, a soul connection, a place where you don't have chatter in your head that's negative, a place where you can breathe, you can listen to yourself, if you call it intuition or God, higher being, whatever you call it, it doesn't really matter. It's just that place of peace within, and it's going to flow. I think that's your source, and it's going to flow into all the areas of your life. And so taking that time to be well within, like your well-being, like your being, your essence of who you are has to be well. For me, it's all about self-connection. So connecting inside before you can connect outside.
And so the energy piece that you speak about, I'm really curious about that. So, because I mean, I think people can take that word energy and they'll create their own definition of it. How do you define energy and how it fits in relation to your definition of well-being?
Yeah, so for me, it's like the vibration. So it's just your
Mhm.
vibe, right? So when you, oh, that person has a good vibe. Well, what does
Mhm.
vibe really mean? It's your vibration. So are you operating out of fear or love? Those are the two large spectrums, and where do you sit on it? Of course, we're not going to be operating at a high level all the time. It's not possible, but it's being real with where you're operating. So for me, energy is like showing up, grounded, peaceful within, having that comfort, and then being able to navigate life. And so I think your energy is just like you can tell when people it's connected to confidence too. If people have good energy, calm energy, grounded energy, self-love energy, they're able to show up to the highest version of themselves, whatever that may
Mm.
be. It's not about being happy and having rainbow and sunshine all the time. I think it's about like the calm, like people can feel your presence. And I remember one of my friends, we went to this play center and it was crazy. And she's got two kids and I got three, and they're running around and it's loud and like chaos. It's full chaos. And we're sitting there having a coffee, and she said to me, her name's Jen Griswood. She said to me, Cara, when I talk to you, I just like feel that you like see my soul. And I'm like, oh, interesting, because people have said that to me in the past. And she's like, nobody listens the way you listen. And I was like, oh, thank you. Like, that's really interesting. But it's about being present. That's what it was really about, right? Like, there was craziness everywhere, but can you be present in your life? Can you be there?
Actually, that is a really good analogy, especially for parents with young kids.
Mhm.
Can you actually quiet the noise around you
Mhm.
and open your ears to listen to the person, the moment that's right there before you?
Mhm.
Because there's been times where, yeah, I'm around people and there's a lot going on, yet you can decide, like, and I think you have to be really intentional. You have to make a decision. Am I going to just focus on this person right in front of me and really look into their eyes and listen to what they're saying? Because I think that's when you have the open heart, the open mind, the open ears, I mean, open to them. Yeah, I don't think there's any way for people not to feel it.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's really powerful. Okay, so I'm just thinking about energy and how you were saying, like, you get grounded to show up every day.
Mhm.
So the next question just logically in my head pops up to be, well, so what do you do, right, to show up to be grounded over the expectation that some people put on themselves, which is, show up to be happy? Like,
Mm.
how do you do that for you?
Yeah. So during COVID, I had to shift everything, my life. It was really, really hard running a small business and going through COVID with all the shutdowns and everything. And what it taught me was just like, what's the next step? If you can't do what you want to do, what's just the next step? And to have some grace along the way. So my morning ritual used to be maybe a full 1 hour workout class, maybe a run. It was more deliberate and larger. And during COVID, I was like, okay, I always did this for myself, but I did it a little more intentional. I put my hand on my heart and one on my belly in the morning, and I say my name. I say, Cara, what do you need today? Or I'll say, Cara, how are you doing today? And I think the reason I had this feeling that I had to ask myself is because we ask everybody, how are you doing? Can I do anything for you? Especially as caregivers, as women, right? As moms, we're serving people, but we don't really take time to serve ourselves. But if you take that moment of that intention, that intentional moment, you will have clarity beyond what you thought was possible because you're waking up. It's the first thing I do, so I don't even get out of the bed, and it's like my alarm goes off. Okay, Cara, what do you need today? How are you feeling? And some stuff comes in. Sometimes it's like you need more sleep, or you need to go slow today, or today is going to be really productive, or you need to drink more water, or you need to connect with a friend. Like, yeah, I get very, very strong direction,
Mm.
and I listen to it and I make sure that happens. So that's like a 30-second to 1 minute exercise. Then I do 10 minutes. So I listen to This Girl's on Fire by Alicia Keys because I just love it. And it was my COVID song, and it just continues because I just can't get it out of my head. So I put my little yoga mat down, This Girl's on Fire, and I like sing it, and I do bum squeezes, abdominals, arms, everything I can do, like full body workout in 10 minutes. The reason why it's only 10 minutes is one was my time, and one, I had a car accident. I have a lot of pain in my neck and my back. So if I go really hardcore, I get massive headaches, migraines, and I'm
Mm.
out. So I had to shift. Instead of being like, I can't work out anymore, I can't do what I used to do for sure, but I
Mhm.
can do 10 minutes of gentle, pulsing. I do like all
Nice.
this stuff just for myself. And what it does is it gets my mindset right. My body's going to be, it's going to be a little stronger. 10 minutes is not as significant as I'd like it to be, but my mindset is really, really strong. So even if life happens to all of us, but even in the darkest times, if your mindset can be strong, it will serve you and it will help you
Mhm.
navigate. But when your mindset's not good and it's very negative and all you see is problems, it's really hard to get out of that funk into solutions. So for me, it's just
Yeah.
taking that 10 minutes.
So before you go to other things you do,
Mhm.
just want to backtrack to the putting your hand on your heart and on your stomach.
Mhm.
How did you like, what gave you the idea to start that? Like, how did you know what was happening inside you that you actually had the wherewithal to go, okay, this is what I'm going to do instead of what I was doing before?
Yeah. So I can't remember the exact time I started it, but I know that there's so much energy, right? There's a neurological response to everything that we experience. There's an emotional response, and even just like touching your hands can calm you. Touching your heart. So your heart is your focus, right? It's where you're going to feel everything. And if you can just do that, like you actually feel a sense of groundedness. If you blow on your hand
Oh,
before you
blowing in.
actually
That's
speak.
the one I didn't know about. That's
Yes,
cool.
if you have to speak, or my dancers are backstage and it just triggers a different part because there's lots of nerve endings on your hands. It,
Mhm.
it triggers a different part in your brain. So I can't tell you, one day I woke up and I was like, I'm going to do this. I just did it. And it was like, Cara, what do you need? You know? And then it just became a little bit more intentional.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And it was almost I'm just because I kind of know a little bit and we were working together kind of a little bit at the beginning of COVID. So
Yes.
did it come from, correct me if I'm wrong, but did it come from a place of maybe not darkness, but some sadness or some suffering?
Oh, absolutely. Like
Yeah.
the hardest times of life, you have to try new things. And what COVID really taught me was if you're not well in your mind and you're not well in your heart, it's really hard to do well in the world. And so I had a lot of pressure. I had a lot of challenges. I had to show up every day for my kids. I had to try to homeschool. I had to save my business. It was a lot of pressure. And so just what can I do instead of all the
Mm.
things I can't do? What can I do? And then just doing that. And I also think giving yourself some grace that it's not what it used to be, and that something is better than nothing. And I think we have such extremes. Like we think we have to do it full out or it's not worth it. And so we just stay stuck. And then, and I was stuck, right? It was like every part of my life was just like caving in. So I hired a mindset coach. I did a lot of work to get me out and to really focus on your mind and your heart because there's such a connection and that goes through your body. And it's something I
Totally.
teach. But when I got hit so hard, I was like, I need some help. So I think it's really important to do what you think you need to
Yeah.
do.
I think even too, no, now the thing that came to my mind is gone, but what was it? Anyway, I can't remember, but I think so often, oh, I know what it was. I was going to say that there was a shift that I had during COVID too, after talking to a friend, and I started to like journal the things I could control because I
Yes,
was being so um, oppressed by the thoughts of the things I couldn't control.
totally.
And yeah, so that was a really big shift. And then the next thing was really this show, actually, because this show was birthed primarily out of a need for connection, because I was like, I know I need people and I need to have conversations with people about things that are deep and meaningful. And so hence this show.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah, because I'm just like, I need people in my life, like good people that just want to like talk about, the thing. I wouldn't say there's not topics that don't matter, because different things matter to different people. But I definitely wanted to talk to people about something that I think is important in life.
Yeah.
So, and hey, I think the conversations we have with people do bring meaning to our life, and meaning is a component of your well-being. So really, you know, whatever anyone's talking about, hopefully on the positive end with people, it can contribute to their well-being. So I
Absolutely.
think it's really about being intentional and noticing, just like you did. You're like, oh, I gotta tune in with myself. Like, what do I need right now?
Yeah.
And then how can that fuel my well-being? So cool. Okay, so you did like the hand on the heart and on the stomach, and that sort of allowed you to connect with yourself and what yourself needed. Then I'm just thinking, if somebody was watching this, they would be like, okay, well, let's say your heart says slow down today.
Uh-huh.
How do you do that when you already, like, let's say today you have a full calendar?
Mhm.
How do you do the slow down part?
Yeah, so slow down for me. Yeah, it's a great question, and it's not going to be an easy answer for everybody. And I would encourage anyone who's listening to just actually try it, because you'll be amazed. Like, you don't know the power of that until you experience. I tell everybody, I'm like, do it. Okay, so if I got slow down and my days jam packed, these are the conscious decisions I would make. I'd get off social media, because social media, like when we have a break and we just scroll, it's clutter, it's busy, right? You got to slow down, you got to get that off. When you're driving, I would tell myself time is on my side. Time is on my side. I wouldn't be like, oh gosh, we're going to be late, even though maybe I'm going to be late, but I just tell myself time is on my side. I do everything I can deliberately. So um, just trying to get rid of clutter. And then maybe at nighttime, it's like, okay, now's your time to slow down. It's maybe watching TV, going for a walk, lying down, meditating, reading a book, having a bath. Every night, my ritual is to have a bath. It closes my day. I put my kids to bed, and then it's like my time to kind of decompress, and I sleep better, and I just operate better having that ritual for myself. And so when you get the message slow down, you got to be intentional. It's a message. So when another opportunity comes your way and you want to take it, and your message is slow down, maybe you book it for the next week, right? So I think it's about like just listening and making good decisions and taking the moment to have a cup of tea. That can be 5 minutes, but it can set your next 2 hours with great energy and flow,
Oh, I
right?
just love that, because it's not, because that's what I was wondering. Like,
Yeah.
somebody might think, okay, how do I add that to my day? But what I hear from you is you're not adding anything. You're
No.
just taking what's there and almost creating a different lens to view it and experience it through.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think really it's like I always say, the mindset's where the magic happens. So I just came off of a weekend full of recitals and shows and rehearsals and pictures, and we're coordinating a million pieces, and everything's got to be like fluid, and it's very emotionally charged. It's positive emotions, and it can be also stressful emotions. But what I tell myself is like, okay, Cara, you're here to serve. Like I go through this little thing where I'm like, I need clarity of thought, clarity of speech, clarity of love. Like people in my car, if they see me doing it, they're like, what is she doing? My teachers all know because I'm open about it. I'm like, guys, I got to get my energy flowing, right? And then if I'm like caught up in this energy of like, okay, we gotta go to the blah, blah, and that does happen to me. I'm like, okay, Cara, like take a deep breath, slow down, be calm, because no one wants to work around a hot mess. It's like, blah, right? So if we feel this, we got to have tools and techniques to bring us back down to our source, wherever that is, and to feel grounded. Because when you feel grounded, you don't react, you make better decisions, you have more confidence, you see pathways. But
Yeah.
when we're operating out of fear,
Mhm.
it's fear and love. If you're operating out of fear of all the problems, all the things that are wrong, that's going to dictate us and push us down a different path.
Yeah.
So one of my ground rules for myself is always seek positive intention in everyone. So if someone does something that's negative, I'm like, okay, give them benefit of the doubt, right? Seek their positive intention. And then if it's not positive, then you can recreate it or redirect it or call it out for what it is. But first go into it with positive intention, because I think we can just have better outcomes, better connections, better, communication.
Yeah.
Everything can be better.
Well, and I think we have to let go of what do we look like when we're doing some of these crazy things. Like I used to do this, like dancing walk, literally, like instead of going for a walk, I dance
Oh,
along the sidewalks.
I wish I saw you. I'd be like, yeah, let's go to
You
your
would love it.
party.
You'd be like high-fiving me. Actually, no, we'd be doing it together.
Mhm.
That's how it would be. And I'm like, I just gotta release what I'm, that pressure I'm putting on myself to do or not do because it may not be socially acceptable or the neighbors might think I'm crazy or whatever. And I think we have to let go a lot of that because some well-being, intentions, techniques, ways to calm yourself down don't really look normal. But we
Mhm.
got to make them the new normal because I think the more we show people that this works, it works for me, it might work for you, then they're more likely to give it a try,
Yeah,
basically. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So one of the things you're doing is putting a message out there into the world. So you've done
Mhm.
some things for yourself and now you're like, people got to know about this. So do you
Mhm.
want to spend some time telling us about
Yeah.
the book you're writing? Yeah.
Yeah, so for about 10 years, I've always had this knowing, right? I think we all know everything that we need to do, but some of us won't listen, some of us will push it away, whatever. So I was the woman that was like, when I have time, I'll do this. When I have time, I'll do this. When my kids are older, I'll do this. And then COVID happened and everything kind of paused. And it was a moment of like, okay, like what can you do that's just positive, right? Um, I had some circumstances that happened. My grandmother passed. I realized like how short life is and how beautiful life is. And there was some other situations too that really just was like, you don't have a promise for tomorrow. Like we never think stuff's going to happen to us, and it's about taking action. So in the state of being so stuck in my life from COVID, I was realizing, man, we are often very stuck people, right? I meet so many women. My heart is really for women. If I do a conference and I speak at an event, a lot of women say, oh, I always wanted to do this, or I always wanted to do that, but I could never do it. Or we have all these excuses and reasons. And really what's happening is we feel stuck for some reason. And so my book is written for women that feel stuck. They're overwhelmed. They can't seem to take the next step forward. And there's some sense of unfulfillment. And what they may not realize is they're also dealing with low self-esteem. And so my book is that so many people wait to feel ready to do something. And so my main message is that readiness is not a state of being. It's a feeling that comes after you take action. And so I think we've all programmed ourselves that once we feel ready, we'll do the thing. Once we have the confidence, we'll do the thing. But the truth is, you earn your confidence by doing hard things. You have to be vulnerable. You have to get yourself out there. Confidence comes at the end. But we have somehow been programmed that you need to feel this before you do that. And it's not accurate. If you study, the most successful people, they still have to work on their confidence. It's something that's going to change in life. And when we're stuck, we can lose our confidence. And what I've identified in a lot of women that I serve is when we feel stuck, what's happening for most people is we're in a transitional phase of life. Your emotional state is changing, your physical, it could be spiritual, it could be relationships, circumstantial. We're always in transition, but we haven't been taught really to pay attention to that. We just feel like we're in a funk or we're not feeling our best. We can justify it a million different ways. And so just acknowledging and having some words to say, okay, I'm in transition, I'm transitioning. And it's a beautiful thing. We're meant to change, but we are scared of change because change is unknown, right? So our ego wants to keep us safe. And so my biggest message for women is just start before you feel ready, always, because readiness is going to happen after you do the thing. And you don't need to know the whole plan. Like I couldn't in COVID plan out my whole next 2 years. I was like,
Right.
holy Hannah, like today, what are we doing today?
Yeah.
Next week, I couldn't do the big year calendar. I couldn't even plan a month. I couldn't even plan a week. It was like day to day. And so I just learned that so many women feel stuck in their lives for different reasons. And my wish and my hope is that women will just like embrace their fears and earn their confidence by doing hard things.
Mm. And I think it too, to add to what you're saying is like, not only are we conditioned to think that we have to be ready first, but we're also conditioned to think that we're never going to change, that who we are when we're born is like who we will remain. And then sometimes the things that we do, we keep doing the same things, but they're
Yes.
not working anymore because the self inside is really trying to change. And we're like, no, get back in that box. That's how you were. Like, you should still be that same person and do those same things. And it's like, no, it's not working anymore. And so if we can open ourselves up to see how, gosh, fluid we are as
Yeah.
humans, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and we're supposed to evolve, but
Right.
we just haven't been taught that. We haven't been shown that. We still feel, you know, women will either feel not enough for different reasons, not good enough, not ready enough, not financially secure enough. There's a million different things. We don't have enough time. That was mine. I'm like, I'll do this when I have more time.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
you're never going to wake up and have more time. There's always demands. You have to make the priority and make the choice that, okay, this is my path. So what I see in most people is it's fear, right? We don't want to put ourselves out there and be exposed. But what we also don't maybe realize is everybody has fear. So it's okay, and we have to normalize it. Before I go on stage, before I speak to my audience of 1,200 people in the show, I will do some EFT tapping, and my senior students will look at me and they're like, Miss Cara, what are you doing? I'm like, oh guys, I'm getting in the zone. Let me teach you about it. And I teach them, and I'm like, before you compete, try it, see if it works for you. So I've learned, like, there's like, my team just knows, oh, Cara's in her closet doing her thing, and it's fine because I'm like, guys, I'm going for 5 minutes, do not interrupt, and I get into my zone because it's really important to do that for myself. It's going to look differently for different people.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think that's brilliant. It's like the encouragement to, hey, join me, but you don't have to be like me or do it exactly the way
Yeah,
I do it. Right.
of course.
Ah, and that is so helpful with the I'm not good enough
Oh,
thoughts, right? Like, no, you don't have to be like Miss Cara. You don't have to be like Josephine, like
yeah.
just be you for Pete's sake.
Just be you, and 100% be you. And also, I think when we can acknowledge, like, every strength we have, if used to the extreme, is a weakness. For it will show up in different parts.
Yep.
So just realizing it's what you do with your opportunities and also your challenges. And so instead of saying, like, oh, I wasn't born with confidence, no one's born with confidence. No one's born with resiliency. It's a skill you learn, and it comes from practice. You have to take chances on yourself. And my main message is, I just wish women would take more chances on themselves. And I see this as young girls. I've had the pleasure of watching people grow up over 15-year span, and then they turn into a young woman. You're like, okay, wow, I could see this when you were really young and you still have this, or I saw that this was a challenge and you overcame it, and now look at you go. But it's just like the push, like, everyone needs their wings just to fly, but we all just kind of want someone to tell us, like, we're ready, you're ready.
Hmm.
You're ready. But those whispers don't come to us, those signs don't come to us. So we keep waiting, and we wait our entire lives. And
Hmm.
I'm like, I don't want you to wait in the wings of the dance stage before you step on stage. And this is in life too. I don't want you to wait in your wings. I want you to take the next step and move, because when you are really using your skills and talents to serve other people, you make a massive ripple effect. So it's not just about you not doing your thing for you. It's like, you're not giving the world your talents and your skills, and you're not helping people the way that you could help people. And so I'm sorry you're not confident. I'm sorry you're not feeling ready. I'm sorry you're not feeling enough, but you got to go, sister. You got to move.
Yeah, just move, do something, make one step, move,
Yes.
move one moment forward.
Yeah.
Susan David says, fear is courage walking.
I
And I
love
really love that,
that.
because it just means take one step.
Mm-hmm.
It just means you're going to feel fear. And
Mm-hmm.
it helps to normalize the fact that, yeah, you're going to feel fear,
Mm-hmm.
and it's okay. And it's going to be okay. And you can move through fear. Right. Yeah.
And everything, I always tell my students, I'm like, whenever you're nervous to go on stage, it's the same experience in your body as excitement, but your
Mhm.
brain labels it. So instead of being like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous, like, own your feelings. You're feeling this energy. I'm so excited. And then I tell them, when you are nervous, you tell yourself you're excited, to just kind of shift your mindset. And then also acknowledge that you're growing. And so every time you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, you're going to feel nervous because you've never done it. And that's why I, like, can prove my point of, confidence is going to come after you've done it, because you can't feel ready, you can't feel confident until you've done it. So it's like, we have to reverse our mindset of, like, you don't feel ready. You can be prepared. That's different. I tell my kids, prepare. You need to do your preparation, but don't wait to feel ready. You're ready. Go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, go. So I hope all of you just go
Yeah.
and take one step forward for yourself and for what you do and who you serve in your profession and for your families. Because the world's going to be a better place when you put the energy and the time into knowing who you are and what you can do to make the world a better place. So thank you so much for joining us, Cara. It's just been a lovely conversation. And we should do a part 2 on how we do this for families.
I'm still trying to figure it out, but I could share what I got.
Yeah,
It's never
totally.
perfect, right? I think that's another thing is that we think like, oh, this person has it all together. Or this, it's like we're all a work in progress. We never arrive to the destination where we have it all, we feel it all, we're content, everything's fine. But I think that's the beauty of life is that you have to, like, whatever you're going to put into it is what you're going to get out of it. But you've got to do the work. And so many people aren't willing to do the work. They just want the results. So that would be, I would love to share what I got, especially with my children, because they
Yeah.
do have really beautiful sense of selves. And when I see them interacting with other kids, like they have this maturity and the maturity I think is really grounded. Like they don't seek external validation. They're very, very secure. And it's really cool to see that.
Beautiful. All right. Well, stay tuned for round 2.
Okay.
Until then.
Thanks for listening to Wellbeing That Works. Before you go, take 1 minute to write down your takeaway from today's guest. And be sure to download our Wellbeing Evaluation Sheet to help you along your wellbeing journey. And if you've got something to share to inspire others, be sure to be a guest on our show. Until next time, with love and kindness.